Christos Aneste, Christ is risen. That's right, that's the Greek for the Easter proclamation that has been traditionally used for Christians for centuries. Christos Aneste, Christ is risen. And I bring you those blessings and those greetings here from Tampa, Florida, to all of you throughout the Anglican Union. And I hope and pray that this day, this Easter 2022, is filled with God's choicest blessings and greatest hopes that Christ will be risen anew in your life and in your hearts and in your ministries as we look for the second part of this coming year. I'm coming to you from Tampa, Florida, where we met in convocation not too long ago when that very theme of hope without wavering, was part of how we gathered together here in Tampa, Florida. And that was intended to set a theme for the coming year. And so as we look at the coming great 50 days of Easter, I want to continue with that theme and hope that all of you, members of the Anglican Union, associate members, members of the oratories, clergy and laity alike, will consider that theme, hope without wavering, and how we live it out in the three areas of our ministry, the charisms of our ministry in the Anglican Union. As we know, one is the call to prayer, the second is the call to Christian service, and the third is the call to Christian unity. On the topic of the call to prayer, I'm hoping and praying that in these next 50 days, that the prayer I'm sending out that's going to be part of this mailing today will be prayed by every member of the Anglican Union, both laity and clergy, with the hope that we will be seeking renewal for the work that God has given us to do. We have an opportunity, I believe, in this coming season to really begin to change the landscape of the world and the church, because it so desperately needs those three charisms that we celebrate as an Anglican Union. But in order to do that, we have to first be able to embrace it with all our heart, all our mind, all our being, and that begins first and foremost with prayer. And so every day I'm asking you to say the prayer that will be found at the end of this video. And I hope and pray that it will become part of the very fabric of our being as we form our common life in the Anglican Union. Secondly, the call to service. Servant ministry is critical to the life of the church for the world. The world believes that the church has been on holiday during this pandemic. The world believes that the church has been absent in this time of crisis. We can't fix all the world's problems, to be sure, but we can begin to witness to them. When Jesus went from town to town and the apostles came to him and said, "Look, these people have nothing to eat." What did he do? He said, "Sit them down. Let's take a look at the 5 loaves and the 2 fish and see what we've got." So what I'm asking is that every oratory consider looking at its 5 loaves and its 2 fishes, of whatever capacity that is, and consider how to best use that locally and globally within the Anglican Union as we go forward. And to help with that, we're sending out a self-study survey that we're asking every cleric and every oratory to use between Easter and Pentecost to get a fine focus, a fine clarity on what it is we can do and we can't do with the gifts we've given, with the resources we have. How can we pool resources? How can we shoulder resources together? And that will help us better able to serve the people given to our care that we know and that we don't know about, that are part of our union and that come knocking at our door. And then the third piece, of course, is the notion of unity. And so this self-study is also to help with that, to help us become more united internally amongst ourselves as fellow oratorians, so that we can make ourselves strong as a confraternity locally and globally, and so better to engage people who come knocking at our door and say, "We'd like to be part of the Anglican Union. We want to be able to show a solid fellowship of unity one to another." And know this self-study will ask us some questions about how we could better do that, each of us individually, me as a prefect and you as members and as associate members. As you look at the rest of this newsletter, you'll find out that those charisms are capturing people's imagination. You're going to see good news that we're coming to you with today about Anglican Union India. You'll see a video about that very shortly. You'll see people knocking on our door from places like Amsterdam and Budapest, have very positive and rich conversations about how to become Anglican on the ground in a cultural world, which Europe is, that is anathema to the church. And yet these people and these leaders are saying there's a way to celebrate the gospel, the Anglican way to celebrate the gospel that people are finding appealing. And that call to prayer and that call to service and that call to unity is really capturing people's imagination. And so I'm hoping that it will capture your imagination as well as we go through this time of self-study and time of prayer. So locally and globally, we have a full plate in front of us with many challenges. But God has given us this unique time and this unique opportunity to be raised up for a season such as this in the life of the church globally, but especially in the life of the Anglican communion of which we are a part. And we have a special role amongst our patrons, and we also have a special role with our ecumenical partners. And those relationships continue to strengthen as well. As we strengthen them globally, we're hoping that we also strengthen them locally, here in Tampa, in Ocala, in Santa Fe, wherever we find ourselves active. So, take a look at the newsletter that you're going to see following this video. I hope you'll, as it says in the collect, read, mark, learn, and inwardly digest. Take the self-study. Give it some prayer. Give it some consideration. Talk to your people about it and send it back by Pentecost so we can together build the next chapter in the Anglican Union, a confraternity that offers to the world risen hope without wavering. God bless, happy Easter, and we'll talk to you very soon.